Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be discussing part 1 of the daily bias and most importantly the weekly bias. So I get this question a lot. How do I determine the daily bias? How do I know what to look for? How do I know what to look for? How do I know where DXY is going? How do I know where DXY is likely to reverse or likely to expand, likely to consolidate? And you guys want the real answer, the straightforward answer. That's really this first point here, experience. So, and you guys have probably heard Michael say this many times, experience. You cannot be able to consistently analyze a DXY without this. And it might not sound appealing, it might not sound attractive, but you really have to submit to time. And you've heard Michael say it, submitting to time. That's the biggest contributor to your price action understanding. If you're not submitting to time, you're not gonna get this, guys. That's a fact right there. I can guarantee you, if you're not putting in the work, looking at these charts, studying these charts from a logical standpoint, think about charts logically. If you're just looking at patterns, you're selling yourself short. Really think about this. This is kind of like a chess game. If anybody's familiar with chess, you really have to think about this logically. This is a rigged market, and this market has plenty of footprints. So smart money footprints are not invisible, they are evident, but the only way you can learn how to identify those smart money footprints is through experience. So if you think from a logical standpoint, you'll think like smart money. You'll start to think like smart money. You'll start to place your orders where smart money would likely place their orders. So I've been pretty consistent with this group, and I've been showing you how we arrive at that daily bias every single week. And I've been running this Telegram group for the past 3 months now. So almost like around almost a quarter now. And the reason I created it is to help you guys, assist you with not only just signals, but daily bias. This is the key to price understanding. If you can consistently arrive at a proper analysis for daily bias, you can make so much in these markets, and you guys have seen that. DXY leads the market, or the dollar index. So if you're not looking at the dollar index, you're selling yourself short. This brings me to point number 2, collecting stats and data. So journaling. So I get this question a lot, and my answer to that would probably be, what's your edge? What day of the week is your high probability day of the week, where your setups are likely to form? What time of the day? What kill zone? Are you trading London? Are you trading New York? Are you trading both? How often is your setup forming? What's your setup? Are you using order blocks? Are you using order block with a fair value gap? Or are you using a breaker with a fair value gap? Okay, so what's your win rate? What's the frequency of your trade setups? What's your biggest losing streak? How much of a drawdown are you experiencing on your trade setups? What's your risk to reward ratio? How much does your win rate have to be profitable with your risk to reward ratio on your current model? Are you journaling? So are you using like one of these digital journals like Notion or Edgewonk or whatever these guys are using? I don't use those because I use a personal journal. So I use a physical journal where I write down my thoughts and my analysis for the week or for the day. But you can use any way you want. Are you taking before and after screenshots when going into trade setups? Are you recording your live trades? Are you watching price action in real time? Like, you see what I mean? So many factors and variables come into play that it's literally impossible to give a straightforward answer for daily bias. Now, in part 2 of this video, I'll guide you through what I look for specific characteristics I look for in price, and especially in the dollar index. But for this part, this is just for a listen. So if you guys will take a drive, take a walk, you could listen to this video, and this is like the not so attractive part, but this is just real. You guys know me, I'm just transparent in this Telegram group and this YouTube channel. This is not easy, guys. It's not easy. That's why I hate those like 10-minute videos or 15-minute videos on daily bias from inexperienced traders teaching other inexperienced traders. I'm experienced, so I know what I'm talking about. And you guys probably wouldn't even believe me if it wasn't proven every single week in the Telegram channel. So I believe I can actually talk about this subject. So you see a lot of guys like, oh well, daily bias is you're looking at this and that. It's not that. It's just it's a hard thing to explain, because you really have to become one with the markets. You have to be able to flow with the markets. So if you're looking at, say, the weekly chart, well, you want to be looking at the weekly open. You want to be looking at every single daily open, Mondays open, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and so on. You want to be looking at previous weekly highs, previous weekly lows, previous daily highs, previous daily lows. These are all key reference points that the algorithm is going to remember. So when PD arrays line up with these reference points here, they're likely to be high probability. I really like daily open buys and sells. Weekly opens, those are good too. Or I really like previous daily highs and previous daily lows for draws on liquidity. This is how you arrive to that daily bias. If you focus on the previous daily highs, previous daily lows, previous weekly highs, previous weekly lows, those are likely draws on liquidity, and you're likely to determine a trading direction or a weekly expansion direction. So weekly open, daily open, so for all your days of the week, previous daily highs, previous daily lows, previous weekly highs, previous weekly lows. So think power of 3. Another thing is, big thing here is adaptability. So we'll take this week for example. At the beginning of the week, my bias was bearish. I was expecting a run into this buy side and bounce, taking out the sell side here. We didn't get that. We actually ran up. We ran up into this bearish order block, and that's a weekly bearish order block. Do I know what's gonna happen next week? No. We're about to close this trading week. I don't know what's gonna happen. I have to wait for the Sundays open, and then I want price to give me more data. So that's a big key thing, adaptability. If you are not able to adapt to market conditions, then you're not likely to arrive at a proper daily bias analysis. So in part 2, I'll go over this and how I was able to adapt and switch bias, targeting this a volume imbalance here on the daily. But we'll talk about that in the second video, in the second part of this video. I don't want to make these too long. So this is the biggest thing here. Last but not least, but probably the most important point of this little list I have here, putting in the work. Guys, if you're not putting in the work, you are really going to struggle. You cannot make this a hobby. This is not a hobby. This is a business. This is a profession. You think a doctor or a lawyer goes to school for 6 months and expects to be a professional? Get real. You really can't do that. Put in the work. I have been looking at charts for so long that it's just like ingrained into my brain. I flow with these markets. I flow with the markets on a weekly basis. And when price direction is not clear, then I wait. So I will actually add that to the last part. Have patience. If you don't know where price is headed, then wait. So sit on your hands. That's the biggest thing. Like, this is where a lot of traders blow their accounts. They don't know what's going on. And what do? They force a trade setup. Why would you do that? That makes no sense. So if you don't know where price is headed, you have to wait for more data. This is all it is. This is data. What you see here is logged here. It's all data. So if you see data on this left side of the chart, then what makes you think the right side of the chart is not going to be even more data? That's all these markets are. If you don't have the data with price and time aligned, then you don't have a clear daily bias. So put in the work, log all of these into your weekly charts or in your daily charts. Every single week you want to log all of these levels here, collect your stats. So if you're live trading or you're paper trading, honestly, if you're live trading without stats, you're doing it wrong. And you guys have heard Michael say this, and I'll tell you guys from experience, from blowing many accounts in the past, blowing many funded accounts, if you're not collecting stats and you don't know what your edge is, then you're doing it wrong. So if you guys see, if you combine all of these points here that I have here, you can arrive at the daily bias and you can arrive at experience. So to do all of this correctly and anticipate these moves in real time, not hindsight, you need this experience. So that's the answer. There's no straightforward answer. This is why I don't believe inexperienced traders should even talk about this daily bias. So this is why I have been putting this video off for a little bit, but now you know. And in part 2, I'll talk about what I look for specifically, but at the end of the day, experience is your best friend here. And honestly, it just takes time. Like, the only way to do this is just having the right mindset. So, and the only way you can arrive at that is by collecting your stats and your data, your journaling. Otherwise, how are you going to know what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right? So if you're journaling, you are able to capitalize on your strengths and improve on your weaknesses. So journaling will help with that. If you don't have proper stats and data in a journal or in a spreadsheet on Excel, then you're not likely to know where your edge is and when to push it or when to dial back. All of these things always come into play. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one for part 2. Thank you guys.